Hey there. Hey guys, that was a really creepy look by me. Hey, but you're welcome. Anyway guys, happy day. I guess you guys will watch this on Sunday, but I'm recording it on Saturday. So anyway, happy day, whatever day it is, time, night, morning, evening, whatever time you want to watch this. Today we're going to go on through John chapter 11. Like I always encourage you to do, I encourage you maybe hit pause, read through John chapter 11 for yourself, and then come on back and watch this. So the song that I've kind of got stuck in my head right now is Smelly Cat from the show Friends, from Phoebe Buffay. I think it was season 2. I was watching all of that with my wife a little bit ago. So, smelly cat, what are they feeding you? Which is just a really, really weird song. But anyway, that's what I had stuck in my head. Anyway, let's dig in. So, John chapter 11. So, this is going over the death of Lazarus and also Jesus. Spoiler alert. Shouldn't be a spoiler since you already read the chapter, right? Anyway, death of Lazarus, Jesus raises him up from the grave. Just super cool. So, let's dig on in. So, man Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany. He had 2 sisters, Mary and Martha. And then it says, this Mary, whose brother Lazarus was lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on him. Basically, that happens in chapter 12, the very next chapter. So, just FYI, a little background for you. Just really cool. So they say, so the sisters sent word to Jesus, Lord, the one you love is sick. When he heard this, Jesus said, this sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it. Basically, hey guys, this is another opportunity, right, for me to be glorified, but really it's for your sakes, so that you can know that I'm the Messiah, that I'm the Son of God, right? And so, with that, it's you just know right from the start, God has a plan, right? God has a plan. He knows what's going on, all that. And that's just something that we all got stuff going on in our lives. We're like, man, I wish this was better. I wish that was better. And just, God has a plan. God's working it out, right? You just do the best you can. Get in His Word. Try to find out God's will for your life. That's my prayer for me right now. And just know God's got a plan. See that right here, just right here in the text. So, and right here it says, Jesus. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, so he loved them. It says it right there. So when he heard Lazarus was sick, but he stayed there 2 more days, right? And then he said, hey, let's go back to Judea. But Rabbi, they said, a short while ago the Jews there tried to stone you, and yet you're going back, right? And so it's kind of funny. So it's actually just, it was just the last chapter, chapter 10, they tried to stone him. And then also in chapter 8, they tried to stone him. And then I just kind of Googled, hey, how many times did they want to kill Jesus in the Bible? Which, you gotta remember, like, Jesus' ministry was, like, about 3 years. And he, like, got almost, everywhere he went, it was almost never everybody, did this. Even after this amazing miracle, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, even after this amazing miracle where plenty of people were there to witness it and watch it, it says many people believed, but then some of them, went and told the Pharisees what happened. A bunch of snitches. And we all know snitches get stitches. So, anyway, not really, I'm just kidding. But anyway, like, any time it seems like it's almost never this way or this way. There's always some sort of division, right? Of who do people really think Jesus is? Is he good? Is he bad? Is he a healer? Is he a prophet? Is he demon possessed? Is he this? Is he that? Is he a blasphemer? Is he the Messiah? Who knows, right? That's up to you to decide, and not for each one of us to decide ourselves. So, but I just kind of Googled it. How many times how many times in the Bible did people want to kill Jesus? I think it's probably way more than this, right? Because I think I heard it the other day, is like somebody said, like, really, like the Gospels, Jesus was here for 3 years. You couldn't get all 3 years into one book, right? It'd be like, even says at the end of John, like, even if you tried to write down everything that he did, right, that, there probably wouldn't be enough room to fill it. So kind of same thing with, hey, the amount of people and times that they wanted to kill Jesus, they probably couldn't do it all. But in the Bible, it has it 8 times. When Jesus called out his hometown for their unbelief, when Jesus challenged the Pharisees' traditions about the Sabbath, that's like, all over the place. When Jesus placed himself above the Pharisees' level of authority, when Jesus called himself by God's name, when Jesus referred to himself as being God, when Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, so it's actually right here, and when Jesus cleansed the temple in the final time of corruption, and when Jesus told the chief priests and the Pharisees the kingdom of God would be taken from them and given to another nation. So there's like lots of things, lots of times Jesus said stuff that got people, pretty PO'd, and then they wanted to kill him. So anyway, right here, back to the text. But Rabbi, they said, a short while ago you were just there and they tried to stone you, and you want to go back? And then Jesus just not, not frazzled, not scared, not none of that. He's just like, instead he kind of gives them like this just interesting, like just two little verses here that to me, I mean, they kind of make sense, but like I'm looking for like a deeper meaning. I don't really see it, so there probably is, I'm just not seeing it. But he's just like, you know what, let me give you like a little parable, let me give you a little story, let me give you a little quip, a little something something, right? But he's not scared. He's not scared to go back there and possibly get stoned or any of that. He's just like, nope, time's not come yet. It's coming. I'm going to be a little bit scared then, but right now, no, I ain't scared. So it says, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they will see by this word's light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light. So, read that for what it is, whatever you want to take from that. Yeah, he ain't scared. So anyway, so then Jesus says, okay, let's stop, let's go back. Oh, and then also, this is one thing. Oh, and Jesus says, and for your sake, he basically tells them, hey guys, Lazarus is asleep, we're going to wake him up. Oh, cool, that's good. He said, no, just so you guys know, he actually did die. He's dead. And they're like, oh, sad face. And then here's one thing, is that in verse 16, you've got Thomas, also known as Didymus, right? Right after Jesus, dies and he's resurrected, he comes and visits all the disciples, except Thomas. He's out getting bread or something. He gone. But then they come back and they tell him, he's like, yeah, right. Unless I see the nail wounds in his hands, unless I, see, put my hand in his side, I'm not going to believe. So he always gets the rap for doubting Thomas. But I want us to change that to courageous Thomas, right? So right here, chapter 16, then Thomas, also known as Didymus, said to the rest of his disciples, remember, they're going back to the place where they just tried to stone him, just last chapter. He says, let us also go that we may die with him. Right? He's kind of like encouraging the disciples, guys, we know who this is. We know this is God. Hey, if now's the time, now's the time. Let's do it. Let's go, and hey, let's go die with him. And it'll be awesome, I guess. So that's just, again, courageous Thomas. Good job, Thomas. So this is one thing that I actually got from one of Pastor KJ's messages that I had never heard before, which is great. On his arrival, verse 17, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. So I guess there's some sort of a thought or a superstition or just like a belief among the people that after somebody died, the soul would kind of like hang around the body for like 3 days, but then after 3 days, whoop, it would go to wherever. So let's just say that's the case. Hey, it's been 4 days. Now it's like, shoot, like we had a little bit of hope and maybe Jesus is on his way. I'm hoping we sent him a message. And now, oh, it's been 4 days? No hope. Sorry. Jesus, you're too late. He's gone, plus it's been 4 days. What are you going to do, Jesus? Come on. So anyway, that's just a little bit of food for thought there. Also, one thing right here in 18 says, now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem. So again, kind of bigger context here. This happens, and then like in the next chapter, chapter 12, is Palm Sunday. Right after Palm Sunday is, Jesus has a Passover with his disciples, and they call it Holy Week. It's the week before Jesus died, and so and that all happened in Jerusalem, right? So this is many Jews, came to Mary and Martha, and it was only less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, which is like, relative, even though everybody walked or took donkeys, that was still a relatively short distance, like, say half a day's journey at most, I would say. And so with that, he's like right next to the city where he's going to be crucified and killed in, and it seems like maybe that's pretty close to this time frame. A lot of people probably came from Jerusalem to Bethany, and then afterwards they saw this great miracle of Lazarus healing. They go back to Jerusalem, and probably the other surrounding cities too, but back to Jerusalem, and it's like, you got to imagine, word spreads like wildfire in a big city like that, especially because Jesus is like, he's been in his ministry for 3 years or so already. Like, he's very popular, and now everybody's like, but who is this Jesus? I don't know. And then boom, here's another amazing, phenomenal miracle where, hey, I'm raising somebody from the dead. Right? So it's like, just kind of put that in context. Hey, this is very close to Jerusalem. It's not like it was like, on the other side of the world and then word got there. It's like, no, this is like, dude, I just saw that yesterday. Yeah, I just saw Jesus. He just raised a guy from the dead. No joke. He was dead for 4 days. So, just a little bit of food for thought. Yep, so then they kind of get word that Jesus is coming close. So when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed behind. And this right here, again, you kind of, Martha kind of gets maybe a little bit of a bad rap. I know I've kind of given her that a little bit of a bad rap myself, at least in my head. That there's a scene, not this one, but earlier, a different time, where Jesus comes over to hang out with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, and Martha's preparing all this food and making sure getting the jalapeno poppers, getting the tater tots in, making sure the chili's just right. She's like, the Super Bowl party's coming here. It's like, oh, I gotta get everything ready, and she's like, Lord, why don't you make my sister come help me? And he's all like, hey, Mary has chosen what's best. And that's me. You're worrying about all this stuff, but Mary chose what's best. So Martha, I think, at least in my eyes, I've kind of always given her a bad rap. But right here, verses 21 through 27, this is just a really, really, really good conversation between the two of them. It's awesome. So, Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask, right? I got faith in you. You good, man. You're the man. I know who you are. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. And then Martha answered, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. So, yeah, okay. But then Jesus is like, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? And how cool is that? Jesus said, again, Jesus kind of, throughout the book of John, Jesus gives himself, or John gives him, multiple names. And Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. You ain't got to worry about death, because I am the resurrection and life, and I'm here right now. Boom, let's get this done. He says, do you believe this? Yes, Lord, she replied. And here, this is just awesome, because there's so many people, again, they don't know what to think of Jesus. Is he a prophet? Is he a healer? Is he demon-possessed? Is he a blasphemer? Is he this? Is he a false prophet? What is he? Martha gets it nail on the head. Yes, Lord, she replied. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who has come into the world. Bing! You got it. Martha, winner, winner, chicken dinner. After she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. The teacher is here and is asking for you. So it's kind of funny because, Mary knows he's close or he's there, but she doesn't go right away. She kind of just hangs back. Maybe it's just so that they can have these two separate conversations. And then, when Mary's called, then she comes. And so with that, the teacher's here and asking. And then she gets up. Mary, and everybody's there mourning with her. Everybody follows her. Again, it's many Jews, is what it says. We don't know not how many, but a lot of people, many. And then when Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, the exact same thing her sister said, right? So they both got faith, which is just cool. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Which is probably what they said. That's why they sent word, ahead of time, hoping hey, Jesus, please come back and heal him, But then he didn't get there, and they're probably like, man, this stinks. Lazarus just died. I bet if Jesus was here, he wouldn't have died. Yeah, I think you're right. So that's probably just what they were thinking. Sisters in tune. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Right, and that just kind of goes to show. And again, I should have looked it up. I think that, but I didn't. In Hebrews, hey, we don't have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses. Right here, it's just Jesus, of course, has physical weaknesses. He actually died. He was whipped and all that stuff. But right here, it's also emotional weaknesses, right? And not that it's a weakness, but it's Jesus has human feelings as well, right? It's not like he's just some robot here. Okay, I'm here to save the world. No, he has feelings as well. So, where have you laid him? Jesus asked. Come and see, Lord, they replied. And then 35, John 11:35, which a lot of people think is the shortest verse in the Bible. It says, Jesus wept. I'm here to tell you a little bit of Bible trivia. It's maybe the shortest, most compact, with the most feeling and most meaning Bible verse. But if you actually look at, I think it's Job 3:2, it says, he said. At least in my Bible. It says, he said. And that's it. So that's technically shorter than Jesus wept. So FYI. Anyway, then the Jews said, see how he... That's such a weird little thing to know. Anyway, then the Jews said, see how he loved him? But some of them said, and this is Mary, Martha, they got faith, right? His disciples got faith. Hey, let's go die with him. Hey, if you would have been here, you wouldn't have died. You're the Messiah. You're the Son of God. If you would have been here, you wouldn't have died. But then here's kind of some of the other people. But some of them said, could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man, couldn't he have kept this man from dying? Yeah, he can do a lot of cool stuff. He can keep, heal this guy and heal that guy and do this. But, come on, you couldn't have kept Lazarus, one of your friends, from dying? Come on, man. I thought you were supposed to be, some really great prophet or Messiah. I heard one guy say, huh? And so, a little bit of doubt there from the crowd. FYI. So then Jesus gets there, gets to the tomb, and then Jesus, once more deeply moved, again, so it's like, it's like, if you guys have been to a funeral, like, funerals are not fun. Actually, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, they went to a funeral today, and I bet it was just a super sad time, so I'll see him later. But anyway, it's just like, if you guys have been to a funeral before, it's not a fun time, really. It's just like, this sucks. So again, Jesus is deeply moved. And so, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. Take away the stone, he said. And this is one thing I also heard recently, where just like in the feeding of the 5,000, right? It wasn't just Jesus like, pow, y'all get fish, y'all get food, right? Bam, right in front of you. It's no, Jesus asks people to kind of participate in his miracles with him, right? So like, feeding the 5,000, he took, I think it was 2 fish and the 5 pieces of bread, and then he had his disciples distribute it to everybody. Here he says, hey, move away the stone. And then Martha's like, it's been 4 days, it's going to stink really bad. He says, did I not tell you that if you believe you will see the glory of God? Well, yeah, you did. Okay, well, I guess we'll take away the stone, right? And so Jesus kind of asks people to participate in his miracles with him, which is, again, kind of us too. Like, God doesn't just bam heal people. He wants us to pray for people. He wants us to do things, right, to help get the word. Hey, he wants us to go tell our neighbors. He wants to invite people to church. He wants us to invite them to youth group. God wants us to participate with him, right? So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up at heaven and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing around here, both the ones who believe and the ones who are kind of doubting, that they may believe that you sent me. Right? When he had said this, so he's like, hey, just so y'all know, I'm talking to God, right? And I'm glad this happened so that you guys, hey, get ready. This is going to be awesome. You guys ready? You ready? Okay. So when he had said this, Jesus called out in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out! It's probably even louder and more boisterous than that, but just, I think my wife's taking that. Anyway, then the dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. And again, Jesus asked the people to participate, take off the grave clothes and let him go. Pretty cool. So hey, like right there, and it's just like, then that's kind of the end of that. It's just like, what? So then right after that, therefore, many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did believed in him. Many, not all. Which is just a little bit interesting. But again, it's all part of the plan, right? And why not all? Not some people are just goofy, I guess. I don't know. So some of them went. Then again, you got some of them. Some believe, then some go to the Pharisees. Remember, snitches get stitches. Best watch out. Just kidding. Don't do that. So then they do this. Then they call a meeting, Pharisees and the Sanhedrin. Said, what are we accomplishing, they asked. Here's a man performing many signs, like they're even admitting it, he's performing many signs. He just raised someone from the dead. Hello? Like, is that not a clue? If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him. And then here's their fear, though. Here's kind of where maybe it starts to make sense, because they've got all their traditions and their rules and all this stuff. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and then the Romans will come and take away both our temple and our nation. So again, for like 6,000 or 4,000 years or so, however long it's been, many thousands of years, right, since the Garden of Eden, God promised to send a Messiah to save the people, to save us, right, to save us. But along the way, we get the temple, we get the 10 Commandments, we get the Israel nation, we get all this stuff, and we're like, oh, cool, like we got this stuff, but we've been wanting for, what the whole law talks about, is the Messiah coming into the world, and they're missing it, right? They're more concerned with the temple and the nation than they are with the Messiah, with God himself being amongst their midst. But they're concerned about their temple and their nation. Then one of them, named Caiaphas, who was high priest that year, spoke up, you know nothing at all. You know nothing! Inside joke. So funny. You do not realize that it is better for you that one man die for the people than the whole nation perish. So what he's thinking is like, hey, if we let Jesus go on living, then we're going to lose everything. That's in his head. That's what he's thinking. Say, if we let Jesus go on living, we're going to lose the temple. We're going to lose the nation. So it's better for just everybody, all the Jews all together, if we just kill just this one man, so everybody else can keep going living and doing their thing, right? But actually, kind of the opposite. What happens, and John explains it here, is that basically what it is that Jesus had to die, right? So that through his holy precious blood, through his sacrifice, through being dead and then being raised again, by conquering death and the devil and sin and all that jazz, then when we believe in him, then we can live, right? And so it's just kind of like, nah. So pretty cool. So again, from then on, it's just, then, do I have any more notes? I think that's all the notes I got. So yeah, so with that, we're right on 20 minutes. Dang. So anyway, just with that, it's coming, right? And this is one thing where John actually focuses a lot on, like, the last week of Jesus' life, because right here, the next chapters, that was we just went through chapter 11. There's still 10 more. Yeah, so still 10 more chapters. And so, like, almost the majority of John's book that he wrote has to do with Jesus' last week on earth, basically. Last week, 2 weeks on earth, right? Well, then plus the 40 days after his crucifixion. So, but like the last week right before and coming up to his crucifixion. So, guys, get ready. It's going to go fast. Love you guys. Hey, and remember, like, comment, subscribe, read through your Bible, all this stuff. I do this not to get likes or all that stuff or whatever, but I do this so that you can get closer to God. And I really hope that you're taking this opportunity to read through this, suffering through my ramblings, but reading through your Bible, and you put yourself in that position. If I were there to Lazarus, would I be one of those ones who believe, or would I be one of them snitches getting stitches? So, love you guys. Talk to you later.